Welcome to ProjectME, the podcast. I'm your host, Tiffany Carter, the founder of ProjectME, multimillionaire entrepreneur, former TV newscaster, money-making expert, female empowerment speaker, and self-proclaimed office supply addict. My mission is to take the mystery out of making big money. Every week on ProjectME, the podcast, I'll share success tips, strategies, and stories from other entrepreneurs, experts, and millionaires, showing you exactly how you can achieve your most exceptional life. Now let's get to it. Exciting announcement for all of my listeners. I've officially opened my exclusive group, the ProjectME Passive Income Posse, to the public. This group is by application only, so we can keep the group high vibe and spend our time, energy, and expertise only helping those of you who truly want massive success and impact. You get live weekly trainings from me, special guest coaches, and direct access to me and my business partner for all of your questions. To learn more and apply, go to projectmewithtiffany.com, click on Work With Me, and select ProjectME Posse. And of course, any questions, feel free to DM me at ProjectMeWithTiffany. Welcome to the podcast and posse, ProjectME with Tiffany Carter. I'm your host, Tiffany, and today we are going to be done with waiting. And what I say about waiting is, it is procrastination that's in denial. Here's what I mean. I hear people, whether it's I'm overhearing conversations at the gym, or people when I'm on goal assessment calls, or when I talk to people after, speaking at an event, I hear so many versions of, well, I haven't started my business yet because I need to wait for the kids to get older. Or I know I want to go to the next level in my business, but I need to wait until I bring in more money. I know I want to start writing my book, but we have a move planned in a few months and I'm going to start it after we move. I could go on and on and on. That word waiting is just a word that many human beings have come up with because it sounds a lot nicer and a lot more socially acceptable to ourselves and others than what it really means. What it really means is I'm choosing to procrastinate on my dreams because. So what I want you to do is be more cognizant of this thought process that includes waiting, whether you're hearing people say it or you're saying it. Because I'm talking about it on the podcast now, you're going to be of heightened awareness for that word wait or waiting, or I need to wait. I want you guys to be very diligent with yourselves, especially when you hear yourself saying it or thinking it. Rephrase it and say, I'm choosing to procrastinate on writing my book because, and replace it. So maybe it is something in your personal life and it's not like your business, okay? Maybe you do this behavior around getting in better shape and going to the gym. So I hear a lot of times people say, I'm just so tired. I have 3 kids. There's no way I can go to the gym. Or, it's so hard during the school year being able to get to the gym and everything else that I have to do. There's usually a lot of time or an energy excuse. Okay, so I need to wait until the kids are older or till it's a different time of year or until I have the money to hire a babysitter or until I can afford a gym membership that has, child services. Rephrase that. I'm choosing to procrastinate on being at my optimum health for my family because I'm choosing to procrastinate on getting healthy for myself and my loved ones because when you rephrase that, it's like a slap across the face of reality. That waiting word is very dangerous. It's giving ourselves permission to blow shit off, to put shit off, to abandon ourselves, our needs, our dreams, our goals, and desires So I want you guys to be doing that exercise and let me know how it's going. Also, if you want to show me your true commitment to it, take a screenshot right now of this episode, and then I'll have you share it and tag me at ProjectME with Tiffany. Say something about the episode, but the fact you're sharing it, I'll know that you've made that commitment to yourself and to me, and you're putting it out there into the universe that you're going to be much more diligent about using that word and then asking yourself that question after. It's a big dose of reality, but the answer you're going to get is going to be really helpful to you into your next steps on really what is blocking you, what's your resistance, what's going on here. Now, I have asked myself that, I do my own exercises that I share with you guys. And sometimes I'm so stunned as though like literally someone slapped me out of the blue that I don't have an answer. That's okay. It'll come. You can ask yourself that question later. You can write that question down in your journal and then just start free writing. The answer will come up for you. So here are the 3 steps in order to help you guys get out of procrastination right now. We all have things that we avoid, we dread doing, we don't want to do. They're very adulty. They're not fun. They're not sexy. We're tired. We're over it. We're overwhelmed, but they still need to get done. So I wanted to make sure I did an episode on what you can do to help you literally today, right now, and an exercise that's going to help you over time, which is the mindset exercise. So here are my 3 steps. The first thing is you're going to list all the things that you need to do that you've been procrastinating on, aka waiting on, but I want you to list them in order of consequences. How powerful and significant are those consequences to not doing the task or the thing to you? So maybe you're putting off paying bills because there's a lot of money noise going on, maybe around things with money. When you don't have money, you bury your head in the sand and you avoid it, and it's not going anywhere, but it's a limiting behavior that you have. And then the more you avoid it, the more the bills pile up. Using it as an example, the consequences of not paying your bills, my guess, are pretty high because you end up having to pay late fees, extreme interest fees. It can ruin your credit, etc. So that might very well be at the top of your list. It might be 1 or 2 or 3. So that needs to be in an area of where the consequences are significant. I know people who put off things when it comes to their health because it stems down to a lack of self-worth. You put your family, your friends, your spouse, everyone ahead of you, and then you end up neglecting yourself. So let's say you haven't had a breast exam. You're well overdue for that. Maybe you've never had one and you've blown it off and you know that you should. The potential consequence for continuing to blow that off is you could be dead. Therefore, anything health related like that needs to be number 1. Okay, that's what I mean by in order of the significance of the consequences. Here's one that might be lesser to you. So maybe it's that you need to go buy gear for a new sport or for something one of your kids is playing, okay? And they have to have it by a certain date, and you keep putting it off because it's such a pain in the ass to go do that at the store, and it's another errand you have to run, plus it's more money to spend, and you just keep shoving it to the side. And now, right, you have only days left to where it's due. So something that has a deadline probably ends up moving up on the list, unless that deadline is something that's really not that important, right? Like there are these certain types of awards for digital marketers. They have a lot of different awards you can submit yourself for. And I always wanted to submit myself for some of these things and my company for some of these things. I thought that'd be great press. I thought it'd be a cool experience. And I sign up for these text alerts, right, to tell me about the deadlines for them. The truth is, it's really not that important to me. It's kind of a nice to have, a nice to do. So even though there's a deadline, It's not anything, it's not a consequence that's that big of a deal to me. That's something that either needs to be totally taken off the list or it needs to go way down like number 25. So I gave you a few examples there. So list that out. The second step in getting this procrastination thing under control is bargaining with yourself. So you need to talk to yourself how you would if you have kids or friends' kids, or you imagine you would speak to children. You need to bargain with yourself because you're really having a war, an internal war between yourself, right, the adult, and your inner child. And your inner child's like, wah, I don't want to go to school. I don't want to do anything today. I want to stay in bed. And your parents like, no, you have to get up. You have commitments today. You have to do it. But I don't want to. That's really that internal war when it comes to any of these tasks. Last time I checked, there's like no one has procrastinating behaviors around like watching the latest episodes on Netflix. You know what I'm saying? So there you go. They're usually very like adulty, serious things like taxes and paperwork and bills and those things. So I want you to bargain with yourself. Now that you have the list of things in order of, how extreme the consequences are for you, I want you to say, okay, I'm going to set a timer for 20 minutes. And however many things I can get done on that list in 20 minutes, you can set it for 30. Whatever number feels right to you that you'll actually do. And we'll go down the list. If I get one thing done, I get one thing done. If I get 3 things done, I get 3 things done. But we're going to set a timer. And then when the timer goes off, when I'm done, if I have it in me to do more, I can always reset the timer. But as long as I've completed one thing on my list that's in order of the extreme, consequences, then I get to blank. So you're going to reward yourself. Just like, if you eat your vegetables, you get to have dessert. If you don't get to have dessert. You're giving yourself consequences for doing it and for not doing it. You're giving yourself your own reward system. Now, I don't advise using food because that can be a slippery slope. I used to use food, and that led to me having like Ben and Jerry's, like going through 2 pints a week. So I don't advise using that unless you're able to be more moderate and careful than I am with my favorite flavor, which is Chunky Monkey and cookie dough. Thank you so much. No, they're not sponsoring the show. So come up with something. It could be getting your nails done. It could be a hot bath. It could be watching one of your guilty pleasure shows. It could be you watching a new show that Tiffany recommends, which is 90 Day Fiancé. My God, fabulous. I've never missed an episode. I'm obsessed. There's a lot of different things you can pick. Okay. It could be a facial, whatever it is. So I want you guys to create an award system. The consequence for not doing it, you don't get the reward. So you need to create something that works for you. And what this does is, over time of following my 3 steps, this is training your internal reward system. I do these unpleasant tasks that I don't want to do, but that are good for me, similar to vegetables, right? But that are good for me, and I get rewarded. Okay? That's where that's coming from. All right, the final step 3 is this one's good. You must do these tasks, these high priority tasks that you've been waiting on, procrastinating on. You must do these at your peak energy time of day. So one of the biggest mistakes that I see people make, I'll use again the gym as an analogy, like working out as an analogy, is people will say they wake up, they've told themselves the night before, I'm going to start, exercising tomorrow, or I'm committing to myself to get consistent about posting on Instagram or whatever it is. And then what happens is the next day comes, it's the morning, and you're like, well, I'm kind of tired. I have other things to do. I'll work out later. I'll work out this afternoon instead. I'll write those Instagram posts later. I'll record those videos later. I'll work on writing, my first chapter of my book later. Okay, later is another denial word for procrastination. Later goes right there with waiting. Later is putting it off. And guess what? It never happens because our energy just goes down as the day goes on. It's an actual medical, physical fact. Okay? That's how it works. It winds us down over the duration of the day in order to prepare us for sleep. So you need to pick your peak time of the day. For example, my peak time is not first thing in the morning. If you were here in my household, you would know why. I am very slow to rise. I have always been like this. Even as a kid, it didn't matter if it was Christmas morning, I would have to get woken up. It doesn't matter if I'm going on a really exciting trip, slow to rise. It doesn't matter if I'm in a really exciting place in the world, slow to rise. It doesn't matter if someone's paying me a shit ton of money, slow to rise. I've had to accept that with myself because so many of these success books and gurus are you've got to follow the Benjamin Franklin method and wake up at 4 a.m. It's no. That doesn't work for me. So my peak energy time of the day is 9 to 1 p.m., that zone. So those most important tasks that have the highest consequences, if I don't follow through with them, have to be done during that time. If I tell myself the lie of I will do it later, guess what? Later comes and I have even less energy to do it. And then I can end up making up a different story of why I can't do it. And then it's tomorrow. And then I don't feel good about myself. And then the cycle continues. Can you guys relate to this? So determine your peak time of day. And those high consequence tasks need to be in that day. Then that reward system that you're doing with yourself for step 2, reward yourself with something later in the day when you have less energy, right? Don't do your reward at your peak time of day. That's not good. You're shitting all over yourself in that way. If you found my 3-step process really helpful, will you guys do me a favor? I am on this goal to get 200 5-star written iTunes podcast reviews by Thanksgiving. It would really mean the world to me if you guys could take just 90 seconds and do that. You do not have to be an Apple user or have an iTunes official account or anything. All you have to do is Google it and ask Google, how do I leave a written iTunes podcast review? And the instructions pop right up. It's very simple. I would really, really appreciate it. This is what helps keep the show going. As you guys know, this is not free to produce. I have a producer, I have a coordinator, there's my time and all the research that is involved, plus all the amazing guests. It would mean the world to me if you guys could help support the show in that way. That's all I ask in exchange for all this awesome content that I deliver. And please continue to share the show online. I love when you guys take screenshots of the podcast and tag me at ProjectME with Tiffany. It lights me up to see which episodes you guys are resonating really well with, which ones have impacted you. And of course, you can always DM me on Instagram at ProjectME with Tiffany with any questions, any follow-up comments, any suggestions for episode topics that you guys would love for me to cover. I spend 2 hours every single day in my DMs, 7 days a week. This is my way of giving back to all of you and being of service, and also how I develop closer and stronger relationships with my audience. You guys are real human beings. I want to connect with you. It's a thing. I love doing it. So take advantage of that. Reach out and say hi or ask me any question that you have. Wishing you great health, wealth, and worth as always. Talk to you guys soon. If you enjoyed this podcast, please write a 5-star review on iTunes. Not only will this make me super happy, but it will allow more listeners to find our special show. Simply help me help others.